Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch Harlan, and welcome to the Truth Talks podcast. Today, I'm joined by an amazing guest, but before I introduce them to you, I want to ask that you please like and subscribe below. That way, we can continue to bring you these incredible stories. And if you're already liked and subscribed to our channel, we thank you for all of your support. Today's episode is going to be extremely fun. I'm here with Andrea Albright. Andrea, how are you?
Hello. I'm so excited to be here, Dr. Mitch. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to combine a little business and pleasure, a little story, along with some fun and exciting things that we have going on for a long time. We're going to talk a lot about publishing of books. We're going to talk about kind of where you and I are at and where we've been and kind of the journey that's gotten there. We're going to kind of explain to some people why they haven't seen some stuff yet. This is one that I know there's multiple parts to, because obviously you're going to come back as we hopefully hype the books up to all of however many billion people are on the planet. But I'm going to start with you, all right? Andrea Albright, right? The owner of Beverly Hills Publishing. I'm going to read just a little bit of stuff about you. You were always on a mission to create the next movement of authors and evolve the publishing industry today. We're going to talk about how you've changed the publishing industry. But not just a publisher. You're also an author. You have over 25 books, tens of millions worldwide in over 40 countries. A lot of your stuff started out in the health and fitness industry, and you amassed over 10 million views on YouTube. This is crazy. So everybody probably thinks a lot of you as a publisher, but there's a whole lot more. Tell us all about that.
Yes, well, my background as an author started because I wanted to help people. I used to struggle with my weight. I had a lot of body image issues. I was a yo-yo dieter, and I wanted to help people to overcome a lot of the problems that I struggled with. And a mentor at the time said, well, if you want to compete in the highly competitive fitness and weight loss industry, you need to write a book. That's what will make you an authority, and that's what will make you stand out. And I was terrified. I thought, I cannot write a book. I'm going to put all my heart and soul out there, and the only person who's going to buy it is my mom. You know, all the fears that a first-time author has. But the way that I got over it is I said, well, if I can help one person with my message and with my approach, then it's worth it. It's worth my ego being humbled. And so I released that first book in 2006. And I'm so glad that I did, because it went on to create thousands of success stories all around the world. And I would have people email me and say, Andrea, your book saved my life. I was going to kill myself. And then I found your book and it gave me hope to live for one more night. And now I've turned my life around. I love my body. I'm focused on health. And so receiving these kinds of messages kept me going, kept me putting content out there. And this was back in 2006, 2007. I was part of the social media revolution. And if it weren't for social media, I would never have been able to compete in the highly competitive world of weight loss and fitness, where people are spending millions of dollars on advertising. But this thing called YouTube came along, and I was like, what's YouTube? Maybe I can put out some videos. And so those videos became thumbs up. More and more people were saying yes, and never knowing that Google would buy YouTube, I got on the front page of Google for words like weight loss secret and exercises to lose weight. And so here I was reaching millions of people because my content was being highly shared and highly served. And every time I would write a book, I would get press and publicity. And I learned that that was the best kind of advertising, because it's third-party edification where they're talking about how great you are. And so I just kept writing books, because every time it was part of this marketing strategy, PR strategy. And eventually I got to the cover of Women's Health and Fitness magazine, which is the #1 magazine in fitness. And they put me on the cover. I'm very proud of that cover because I'm 37, and that's very rare to be a fitness model beyond the age of 25. And so the cover is a huge accomplishment, but yet they also said, we want to interview you because you're more than an influencer with millions of followers. You are a thought leader because your books are evolving the conversation and your books are changing the paradigm of women's health. And so I established my authority as a thought leader through writing and publishing my own books.
Well, isn't Bikini Butt in there somewhere?
Yes.
Hashtag Bikini Butt.
My evolution as a marketer has come very far because when I first started writing books, I had names like Exercises That Feed Your Spirit and How to Love Yourself from the Inside. And as I learned internet marketing, I realized I just have to meet them where they're at. And my #1 fitness program is Bikini Butt. So when I walk in the room and I say, who wants a bikini butt? Every woman raises their hand. And that is what actually catapulted me to international fame.
You and I have talked, and this podcast is probably going to go all over the place just because this is so much fun. But when you and I first met years ago, right? We first met, and I'd sat in many stuffy offices hearing these guys say, oh my God, this content, we're going to turn this into millions of dollars, right? And it just didn't ring to me. It was always like, I don't know if this is where I want to go with this. But I want to talk a little bit about the process of Beverly Hills Publishing, which the first one was always the money hook, which, as you know, my eyebrow went up because I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't about the money. We plan on making money, but the money hook is pretty special. Tell me about that.
Yes. So I became a publisher because I realized that all the authors who I was meeting over the years, they didn't understand the marketing and the promotion of the book. And frankly, neither do publishers. The old-fashioned publishing industry is really a broken system because you release a book and then you go to market it and then you go to sell it. And unfortunately, most books that people are publishing, the market doesn't want it. The market isn't looking for it. And so this is why over 1 million books are published every year, but less than 1% of the published books ever make an impact in the market. And so what I do is I do all the marketing first. And this approach of doing the marketing before you write or publish a book has been my secret sauce to how I've competed in the most competitive industries in the world. And I start with what I call the magic money hook. And it's a hook because you have to hook your audience from the very beginning. We are bombarded by marketing messages. I mean, now we're having statistics say 60,000 marketing messages a day. I mean, it's just insane because your phone and the internet and et cetera, et cetera. So most of those messages turn to white noise. Your brain doesn't even register them. And I create a hook, which is a psychological hook, really. But you'll know that someone is hooked when they say, what? And then you pause. Because if someone says, what? And then a pause, the pause is the mind is now open to receive your message. And so we start with a hook because we have to hook the audience. I call it a money hook because we want them to reach into their wallet and pull out their credit card. If someone isn't invested in themselves, then we just don't value free advice. And you're actually preventing that person from being able to take action for themselves. So yes, it is a money hook because we want them to take action and we want them to invest, even if it's a micro commitment. That money is the exchange of, yes, I'm invested. And then it's a magic hook because it works like magic. I have an ability to see where is the market evolving? Where is it going? And while every other marketer is competing with where is the market today, I look at where is it going? Where is it evolving? And when you're a thought leader, you are evolving the conversation. And so your marketing message is going to evolve the market. And so it's magic because I discover these hooks everywhere. Even the most competitive markets where people are spending millions of dollars advertising, the market is always evolving and faster than ever because we're now connected by digital light 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so when I can look and see ahead of the evolution of where is it going, now it's a magic hook. So I call it the magic money hook because I start with this process. And once we have this magic money hook, now we write the book that serves the audience where they are going.
And that's beautiful because you know the whole history behind all this stuff, and obviously we will reveal it at some point. But so many of those meetings I sat in, and you're exactly right. It was about, let's throw this out there, and then at this point in time, we're going to take it to these people, and it wasn't much about change for me. It wasn't about what's the purpose, what's the change. And something else about your company that I absolutely loved was when I wrote these books, I always make fun of myself because my one of my ghostwriters, she was like, you do know that you can use punctuation, you can stop a sentence, you know, you can capitalize this over here. The purpose is not about, are you an author? It was never about being an author. To me, it's about the content. If your content is good enough, there are professionals that will make it look good. If anybody saw my original work, they'd be like, oh my God, how did you have the balls to even put this to a publisher, right? That's where this next step comes into play. If somebody's got a great story, great content, this is something that Beverly Hills Publishing can also take on and completely write the book for them using their own content.
Yes, I am passionate about books. Obviously, being an author has changed my life, changed my career forever. I have deep fulfillment knowing that my books have reached millions of people around the world. And so I stand for an author revolution. I want authors to be supported to share their message without any obstacles. And when you're an author, that does not mean you are the writer, okay? It's kind of a dirty little secret in the publishing world, but I will tell you, most authors do not write their own books, nor should they, because the author is the one who's receiving the message and channeling or filtering or creating that message. And so they're the holder of the content, like you said, the content and the message, that is the connection. That's what content means, is connection to your audience. And then a ghostwriter, a professional writer who can match your voice, who can find your tone and takes your content to a professional written way of presenting the content. That's what ghostwriters do. And I use ghostwriters. Everyone on my team uses ghostwriters. Every author we publish uses ghostwriters. And that way we can eliminate all the obstacles of the author to share their message with the world.
And I always thought that was funny because I know so many people who have these really great ideas, but they're scared to death to reveal the content, thinking, I'm just not a writer. How do I do this? Is my story worthy? That's so much stuff that end up turning me on to not only you as a person, because quite honestly, I partnered with your company because of you, and I think we know that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as we get going. But everything from design to the launch and marketing, Beverly Hills Publishing can take and make your dreams of an author come true.
Yes, we do everything. And every obstacle that an author would face, whether it be writer's block and not knowing what to say, because writer's block isn't actually a lack of information. It's usually too much information. There's too many ideas coming through the author. And so very typically when an author comes to me to be their publisher, they typically have 3 to 5 books inside of them. And so what I do as the publisher is I help them to distill what is the content we're sharing with your audience in this first book, knowing that there can always be more books that you release. And when you know that there are more books coming, you're able to say, okay, this is the first book. This is what I want my audience to get the message and to become raving fans. Because when we publish and market the book, we turn on the PR, we create a movement with your book. And so these fans read your book and then they follow you for life. You know, as you mentioned, I'm on my 27th book, right? There's going to be more books. When you're a thought leader, you're always on the edge of the conversation, or even what I call the next edge, because even when you're on the cutting edge, there's always another edge. And so when you just accept that about yourself and you know, I am a thought leader and information and messages are going to be coming through me. So now I need to publish efficiently and effectively by eliminating all these obstacles of overwhelm and writer's block. And that's what we do is we have a process, it's a system, it's a formula, it's a creative experience. And when my authors say, wow, I never knew writing and publishing a book could be so fun, that's when I know we have done our job, because we take the content, we have ghostwriters, I have editors. Every book I publish goes through 4 different drafts on a minimum, because there are different people who have different skill sets. You know, some are great creative writers, some are great editors, and then we have quality control and proofreaders. And so you can never expect for you to do the whole thing of writing and publishing your own book. It's just way too overwhelming. You need a team, you need a process to get it out there.
And it is extremely complex, the process that you have, but you guys make it easy for the author. That's the thing that I thought was so impressive and so different and so cutting edge. It's amazing what you guys have done.
And we also publish in 90 days. I forgot that part.
Yeah, and we're going to throw that out. So 90 days you can have a book on the shelf. So here's the thing, and this is what one of the reasons I wanted to bring on a little bit of self-serving, right? So in 90 days, you can throw out a book. People have heard about my books for a long time, just from different casual conversations and so on and so forth. Where are my books at?
Your books are getting ready to be published. They're almost done.
But what has been the delay?
Well, the delay with you, my friend, is the complexity of the books being more than just a book. The book is the beginning of a movement. And so there are moving parts and pieces to the programs that you are creating and offering. And the book is the launch pad for all of these that are going to be coming through.
I always tell people all the time, they're like, well, listen, I know you can publish a book in 90 days. You can get this stuff done. And I'm like, you know, until you see it, you don't quite know the complexity that we have been through. This is why it's taking us years to get where we are today, obviously. And we've even inked a good deal. I don't even know if we should put that out there yet. I think maybe we'll wait on that too. But some really exciting things between you and I that we're going to be making available to people who want to write books. That's going to be, God, I tell you what, it warms my heart every time that we talk. It's just, because I know how long it takes. I know how long it takes to dump your soul into something. I just had a lady who went through a divorce, and it's a tough situation, but how they handled it. And she's like, I really think I should write a book. And I'm like, of course you should. Everybody has a story, and every story will affect millions of people because we all go through the same things. I want to tell people, though, why I chose you. I want to tell the story of Snooze and the Honda Accord.
That's a great headline.
I
do remember this. How could I forget?
You came out. We ended up going to Snooze. We had a good breakfast. I'm always paying attention. I'm always observing. You had the healthiest deal there, which I didn't. I had Eggs Benedict because I always eat Eggs Benedict wherever I can get it, right? But here's what was funny. I showed up in shorts and a T-shirt because I'm always into shock factor because I'd already studied you. I knew you were coming in just exactly like you're dressed today, to the nines. On the way into the restaurant, though, I happened to notice this green Accord, and it was parked right 2 cars away from mine. And I'm like, holy hell, somebody must be living in this thing. I said, oh my God, I'm going to jack with her when we leave. Here we are. We're sitting there. We're talking about the program, right? The complexity of it, the multifacets of it. We're talking about all kinds of big money, all kinds of different stuff. We leave. I say, here, I'll take you back to the hotel, which we were going to finish a meeting. And I take you up to this Honda Accord. You get to the passenger side. Tell them what you saw.
Oh gosh. Well, the outside alone was remarkable because there had to be at least 2 inches of dirt and dust and grime. I mean, it looked like it had been in the mountains, like mudsliding up and down a mountain somewhere. I mean, the outside was crazy. And then as I peek in, I see the entire back seat has got like sleeping bags and pillows. I mean, someone was obviously like living in this car. And then the front seat, there were bags and duffel bags. And I mean, I don't even know. I was like, oh my gosh, where are we going to put everything? How am I going to get into this car right now?
And here is why I loved you. You were committed. You were going to get in that damn car and we were going to go finish that meeting.
Yeah, I was in. I was like, put the bags on my lap. We got this.
That's how I knew. I'm not kidding. That's when, for me, I said, this is the right move for me. I knew right then because you were going to get in there. And I was even a little mean about it. I waited a little bit longer than I probably should have at the driver's door because I kept looking at your face like, when is she going to be like, are you shitting me? I'm out of here right now. I'm on the next flight to LA. What the hell? Well, we didn't. We went a couple vehicles down, a little bit more Beverly Hills stylish vehicle. And we went to the hotel and we had our meeting, right? And here's the thing that always hit me something. We sat on a couch. Do you remember that? We sat on a couch in the lobby. It was nothing special. And we sat there and we talked for hours about what it is that we're trying to do here. It wasn't about just publishing a book because we could have done that a million times. It wasn't about the money. We could have done that a million times. It was about change. And we shared a lot of personal stuff. We even went out that evening, you, me, my wife. I think there were some other people. I think Tia and Jerry were with us. And we just had a real heart-to-heart conversation about publishing a book for change. And that was the thing about Beverly Hills Publishing that changed it all for me, was your idea about the change. You've read all the stuff. You know the content. What's different about the content that we're getting ready to produce?
Well, our passion for change, it runs very deep. And these books are written in a way that when you read them, you don't even have a separation between the author and the reader. You actually become the author. And it's told from a perspective where you are experiencing the narrative in multiple sensorial dimensions, the smells, the feelings, the thoughts, the inner thoughts. You actually feel as though you are the person experiencing the story. And that kind of process of losing yourself in the story, so where there is no separation, by the time you get through it, you have gone through the transformation. You're not reading about someone else's transformation. You experience the transformation yourself. And this is your genius of recognizing the power of storytelling and the ability to affect change in the brain. And when you experience it, you recognize, you're like, wow, I just had a transformation. I am different than when I started this story. And so the power of getting lost in it and then actually having the transformation without even realizing that that's what's happening, it's really effortless. And it's the most powerful storytelling I've ever experienced.
I appreciate that. We hadn't talked about it. I was anxious to hear what your answer is going to be, because you're always, listen, we're all looking for validation all the time, right? And I always hope that the stuff that comes out through these things is people can see my vision and my passion for actual change. I deemed it the world's greatest airport book, right? Because I want, no matter where you fly to, I want you to be able to start and finish at least one story in the book. And how it just has an impact of, even though it may not be your exact story, it may relate to something else, but the change and the lessons are there. You and I had a little bit of a conversation because you're always just so good about responding or giving credit to stuff like my daughter's cheer. They just won the world championship, right?
So amazing. Congratulations again.
It was amazing. And, I'm getting ready to make a post on that. But it's almost exactly like what you and I talk about. When you see that video, it's kind of a synopsis of them winning the world championship. And I'm seeing the girls, they're bent down. They're dying to find out if they got first, second, or third. And all of a sudden they win it, right? And I think for most people, they see the win and they absorb in the win. And I did too, but I see a different picture. And I hope that comes out in the books, right? But the picture I see is I saw all the parents behind them. And I saw how, I can even get emotional about this shit because obviously I was part of the program. But, I see the parents and nobody knows how, I know that there's a couple parents on there that scrape by everything they get to keep that girl in cheer. And I know that there are parents who have more means, and you sit there and you watch this stuff, and for the general population, we've gotten numbed down so much where we see the win, we see what it is, but nobody thinks about the rest of the story. What's the lessons in that story? The crying that my daughter did night after night because they couldn't hit in practice. The night before we sent them off to the world championship, they had a really shitty practice in front of the parents, right? Even my daughter, I would hear her say something like, we probably don't have a chance to win this thing. And I'm thinking, man, what are we teaching these kids in life? There's always a chance, right? And then I think, oh my God, I failed as a parent when my daughter says, I don't know if we have a chance to win this. I'm thinking, hell, you always got a chance. The same thing as us publishing these books and doing what we're doing. There's a chance that we're going to make a difference. But if you never do it, there is no chance, right? And so I always liked the concept, and you found my vision, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It's like, it was so refreshing, and not only that, but everybody else was a bunch of stuffy, gnarly-looking old dudes, and I'm like, wait a minute, if I can work with this is going to be awesome. We can laugh, we can have fun. So I hope that what you see and what you've done, especially all the books that you've published, I hope that comes through in our books, and I hope that's what you feel.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I'm passionate about, is the disruption, right? I mean, I specialize in thought leaders because I am a thought leader myself. I am disrupting the publishing industry, and I'm the first marketing firm and publishing firm combined. So that alone is a disruption for a $100 billion industry. Like, no one else is doing it in this way. And so I have a real sweet spot for thought leaders because I know the courage that it takes to say, I'm willing to disrupt the status quo. And I also know that thought leaders throughout history have not been given the care and respect from society just because we are visionaries. And so we come off as crazy. And yeah, we are crazy. We see into the future. We see the possibilities for humanity. And so if I wouldn't have discovered publishing for myself and a way to capture these ideas and then present them in a way that the audience and the media recognize as, hey, these are valuable ideas and we need to pay attention to this because this person is here to help, is here to serve humanity. That's the core of every book that I publish. It is for the greater good. I only publish books that make a difference, a positive difference in the audience. And it's very exciting that now, the world is starting to recognize what I'm doing as a publisher. And, just like you are now ready to release your books to the world, it's a sense of validation to know that, gosh, I'm so glad I never listened to all those people who said, you're crazy. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Who are you to disrupt a $20 billion industry in the United States alone? And so I love when a thought leader holds their vision more purely above even society's expectations. So that's what has excited me about our partnership from the very beginning.
I appreciate that because that's exactly what happened. I said in those meetings, and I know they had to be thinking that who is this Midwest crazy person when I'm looking them in the eye saying, I'm going to make you somebody. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's really what I'm looking for. It was almost like a Jerry Seinfeld episode, right? I'm like, yeah, nah, there's got to be more than that. There's got to be more than that. But then also the holdout, right? Like you hold out and you get these gut feelings, and you know me, we've talked about this a million times. I'm not a big woo-woo guy. I'm a science guy. I'm a data point guy. But there was something inside me that said, this is not right yet. This is not the right moment yet. This is not the right people yet. And then obviously, I talked to this one person who I think is very influential in the world, and that's how we ended up together. And I think, I do think that things are supposed to happen the way they're supposed to happen, and it just is what it is. Here's how I really want to kind of finalize up this segment, though, because I think it is probably or potentially the most important part of this whole thing. I want to get your perspective, and then I'll share mine at the end. But what is your perspective on why people should write a book?
All right. Woo, I love this question. So, writing a book is a cathartic healing process. And I speak from personal experience. And I continue to write books because every time you are vulnerable with yourself and then you release it to the world, it lowers the attachment, it lowers the obsession, or maybe even an OCD kind of mentality of like ruminating or talking about something over and over, or having it blocked inside of you, whether you're subconscious or even conscious of what you are repressing. When you write it and you release it to the world, I'll go a little woo-woo here. It's like it's like a sacrifice or something that you are saying, here, universe, take this for whatever it's worth, because I don't want to hold it inside anymore. And so the art of writing, the practice of writing as a catharsis, therapeutic process is something I believe everyone should do, whether it's even through a journal or a blog, but there's something about when you know that this is a book that you're going to publish and release, it causes you to bring forth your most important ideas. And this is what publishing is. Publishing, we know, is a very high level contribution to society. Publishing has revolutionized society many times. We can go into the history of the Dark Ages, and then the invention of the printing press, which really created the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment. And so it is from humanity sharing ideas through books that we have evolved. And yes, books still hold this same value in our society. When you move, you don't throw away your books, you pack them all up and you take them with you. It's like, what other material object in your possession holds that level of value? I mean, sure, you could have family heirlooms or jewelry or art, but there's something inherent about the publishing of a book in our society. We know that this is special. We know that someone has brought forth the highest vision, the highest thoughts, their greatest intention to say, this is what I'm sharing now. And so the process of writing is such an amazingly cathartic process. And then even releasing it and letting it serve the audience, because I write the books and I encourage my authors to write the books not for themselves, but for whom they are meant to serve. And so when you can create something and then you let it have its own life, have its own journey. I don't have children yet. I mean, maybe that's in my future at some point, but every book that I've ever written is a baby to me. It's a baby. And then I go and I watch it to have its own life and to make its own impact. And then when you get these messages back from people and say, I found your book at exactly the right moment in time that I needed to find it, you have this sense of pride of like, yeah, I created that, but it's not me. The book is something beyond me. And so it is a spiritual experience to be a writer and to know that your words are impacting somebody in a moment that you may never see. So the process of writing is not only amazing for the author, it's also incredible for the audience. And then there's that connection. That's where that content is, the connection between the author and the audience. That is something beyond what I could ever explain in this interview. And I doubt I could ever even write it in as many books as I'm going to publish, because it continues to inspire me. And stories like this that bring us together through the process of writing books. It's just a magical world. Books are very, very special.
I agree with you completely. And even though I would not be considered a great big reader, in my world, the reason that this all started was I saw a lot of suffering in my practice. And a lot of it was emotional suffering, mental suffering, not just physical suffering. And I started sharing a story from one patient to the next that might be going through something similar. And I would see this healing process. Then as the interviews evolved to come up with the content, I started hearing these people say, oh my God, it's the first time I've ever heard my own story. And they instantly wanted to be better. No one wanted to be worse. They instantly wanted to be better. And so I thought that was kind of a unique approach. It's like, I know a lot of people write books about themselves. My book has nothing to do with me, but yet it has everything to do with me. It is everything wrapped up in what I believe through helping someone else get through something that they seem insurmountable. That's why I think everyone needs to write a book. It doesn't mean that you've got to go to the whole gigantic level and crazy madness, but man, the discovery within yourself when you write a book, and there's fear. I had fear when I was writing these things. You can explain this probably better than anyone. I'd be like, oh man, I just wrote 40 pages. That all sounds like shit. What is that? Right? And then you're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe there's something in there. You rewrite it a million times. You try and get the context or down to exactly what it is you're trying to display. But every single time I learned something new about myself. I would see myself in the story, or I would see myself dealing with something similar, maybe not to that level, but something similar. I believe that the ultimate cleansing of the human being is writing your story down. Because I've never yet, in 27 years of doing this, I've never yet seen one time where a person decided they wanted to be worse.
I love that. And even to go further, your legacy, right? I mean, you reach a point in your life, your career, where you start to really think about, well, what impact have I really made? And what do I want to share as my legacy? And I have many authors who come to me and say, I know that if I don't give this, if I die with what's inside of me, then it will be lost forever. And so when you commit to saying, I'm going to share my legacy, that is not only something that you get to align with that's greater than you, but you now get to touch the next generation. Books last beyond one human life. I mean, we're reading books thousands of years to go. And so you never know, like, how far could your legacy go?
Well, I will tell you this. With all the publishers that we've set with, I've never had one I can laugh and cry with, which that was important to me. All that was important to me. The sharing of personal stories, it's an unbelievable, undescribable feeling. And we at Truth Talks, this is exactly what we do. We continue to tell stories. We've got Navy SEALs who, there's a whole story behind why they're even a Navy SEAL. We have a lady with breast cancer who shared her story with us just so that other women would know it's not good to get your chemo on a Friday because it ruins your whole weekend. And, it's seemingly maybe insignificant stories to some, but incredibly impactful to a lot of people. So I hope that all the hype and everything that's been built into this, we can deliver. I know you can. I hope the stuff that I put down on paper from a long time ago comes out to be really relevant today. But I can tell you this, both of us believe in what we're doing, and we believe we're going to help at least one person, if nothing else.
That's right. That's what it is all about. That one person who is eager, open, ready to receive the message, because it's so much bigger than just what we could ever see.
I'm still kind of hoping for 100 million though. That's better.
Well, yes.
Well, there's that.
Yes, we like to play big as well. I mean, hey, I'm disrupting $100 billion industry. It's like, I only know how to play big.
It's the go big or go home. I want to tell you, I appreciate you literally helping me through this entire journey. Also, the willingness to get into the Honda Accord that I looked like I was living in. You don't know how much that story means to me. It was my deciding factor. You were willing to get into that vehicle with me, and I knew that moment, this was a person I'm taking this journey with. I want to tell you thank you for all the information you've already shared with people, the books you have. We want people to look up Beverly Hills Publishing. We got a lot of exciting news we still have to share with people. That'll be coming out shortly. But I want to tell you thank you for coming on, doing this podcast. One of the most powerful women that I know, one of the most powerful individuals that I know. And I know you and I talked about that. This transcends everything about all the stuff kind of going on in the world today. It's about healing and helping individuals.
It is absolutely my highest honor to be here. This beginning of the conversation, it's our first public conversation, but we've had so many private moments that have prepared us for this. And I'm just so honored to be your publisher and to be the publisher of all these amazing and important stories that are coming through your platform. Thank you for what you do to lift humanity up. It really is such a joy, and I'm so excited for all that's to come.
Well, maybe we need a book, The Hillbilly and the Beverly Hills Princess. That one probably needs to come out. We don't have time right now, but when we do find some time, maybe that has to come out.
That sounds amazing. Yes.
I appreciate you for being you, girl, and thanks for coming on our show.
Thank you, Dr. Mitch. I look forward to the next time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.